Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaivam Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Shranavatam Swakatha Krishna Punyashravna Kirtana Hridyantasto Bhadrani Vidonati Satam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31, Text 39. Sangam na kuryat pramada sujatu yogasya param paramaru rukshuhu matsevaya pratilabdhatmalabho vadanti ya nirayadvarmasya. Synonyms: Sangam, association; na, not; kuryat, one should make; parmadasu, with women; jatu, ever; yogasya, of yoga; param, culmination; param, culmination; param, topmost; aru, kshuha, one who aspires to reach; matsevaya, by rendering service unto me; prati labdha, obtained; atmalabha, self-realization; vadanti, they say; yah, which woman; niraya, to hell; dwaram, the gateway; asya, of the advancing devotees. One who aspires to reach the culmination of yoga and has realized his self by rendering service unto me should never associate with an attractive woman. For such a woman is declared in the scripture to be gateway to hell for the advancing devotee. The culmination of yoga is full Krishna consciousness. This is affirmed in Bhagavad Gita. A person who is always thinking of Krishna in devotion is the topmost of all yogis. And in the second chapter of first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also stated, when one becomes freed from material contamination by rendering devotional service unto Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can at that time understand the signs of God. Here the word prati labdhatma labha occurs. Atma means self, labha means gain. Generally, conditioned souls have lost their Atma or self, but those who are transcendentalists have realized the self. It is directed that such a self-realized soul who aspires to be the topmost, uh, who aspires to the topmost platform of yogic perfection should not associate with young women in the modern age. However, there are so many rascals who recommend that while one has genitals, he should enjoy women as much as he likes, and at the same time, he can become a yogi. It is no standard yoga system in no standard yoga system is the association of women accepted. It is clearly stated here that association with women is gateway to the hellish life. The association of women is very much restricted in Vedic civilization. One of the four social divisions, the Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, and the Sannyasi, three orders are strictly prohibited from the association of women. Only the grahasthas or householders are given license to have an intimate relationship with a woman, and the relationship is also restricted for begetting nice children. If, however, one wants to stick to continued existence in the material world, he may indulge in female association unrestrictedly. Text 40. Yopayati shanir maya yoshid deva vinirmita tamikshetatmano mrityum traneh kupam vratam. Synonyms. Ya, she who, upayati, approaches, Saniha, slowly, Maya, representation of Maya, Yoshit, woman, Deva, by the Lord, Vinirmita, created, Tam, her, Iksheta, one must regard, Atmana, of the soul, Mrityum, death, Trane, with grass, Upam, a well, Eva, like, Artvam, covered. Translation. The woman created by the Lord is the representation of Maya, and one who associates with such Maya by accepting services must certainly know that this is the way of death, just like a blind well covered with grass. Purport. Sometimes it happens that a rejected well is covered by grass, and an unwary traveler who does not know the existence of the well falls down, and his death is assured. Similarly, association with a woman begins with one accepts service from her, because woman is specially treated by the Lord to give service to men. By accepting her service, a man is entrapped. If he is not intelligent enough to know that she is gateway to hellish life, he may indulge in her association very liberally. This is restricted for those who aspire to ascend to the transcendental platform. Even 50 years ago, in Hindu society, such association was restricted. A wife could not see her husband during the daytime. Householders even had different residential quarters. The internal quarters of residential house were for women and the external quarters were for men. Acceptance of service rendered by a woman may appear very pleasing, but one should be very cautious in accepting such service, because it is clearly said that woman is the gateway to death or forgetfulness of oneself. She blocks the path of spiritual realization. End of purport. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे. Thank you, dear devotees, for giving me this opportunity to purify myself. Uh, Please pardon me if I make any mistakes in summarizing these verses. I'm going to read from some of the purports of Srila Prabhupada. So here, even though it is given the examples of how women association is dangerous, but we need to understand that it's not just about women, right? It is not that women are being criticized. It is the attraction to material life that is ridiculed here, right? There is a very famous pastimes of Bhaktin Meera from Vrindavan. As we all know, she was a great devotee of the Lord. And after she left her palace, she went to Vrindavan. She renounced herself and went to Vrindavan. And she wanted to accept a guru there. So that guru said that, I do not take women as my disciples. So to that, Mirabai replied that in Vrindavan, there is only one male, everyone else is female. So what she was saying that Krishna is the only Purusha and everyone else is Prakriti. Hearing her answer, that guru understood the level of her, renouncement and, her detachment. So he accepted her. So clearly, this is not against women. It's against the tendency to be entrapped by material nature. That tendency is being criticized, right? And women may be one way of doing that, and it can be men also, right? So just like men may become attracted to beautiful women, women may also become attracted to beautiful men. So it's the tendency of getting attracted by opposite sex, right? That is the one we are being asked to be careful about, right? And why is that? Because this tendency is an obstacle for us in advancing in Krishna consciousness, right? So there is a very famous verse in Bhagavad Gita which says, Bhoga Aishwarya Prasakta Nam Taya Aparat Chetasam Vyavsatmika Buddhi Samadho Na Vidhiyate. So, in the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such thing, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. So, we need to understand that if we want to advance in the path of Krishna consciousness, then this sense enjoyment and material opulence are obstacles. that we have to overcome, right? And attachment to opposite sex is one of the examples of that. It can be other attachment also, right? Like tendency to become very rich or famous, all these are obstacles for us. So during the time of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the Gaudiya Math, they were doing well, and they got some money which they used to build a very nice temple, and it had a lot of marble work and all that. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to lament later on that since this marble temple has been built, I'm seeing there is acrimony between my disciples, and sometimes I regret, why I wasted money in these marbles. I wish I could sell these and just print books. So we can see that even spiritual people, they may get affected by these allurements of Maya, or grand temple or fame, even they get affected by it. So we need to understand that the fame we are getting or the respect we are getting because we appear to be pious is because of the Supreme Lord. If people are respecting us, then why? Because they are seeing us wearing tilak or kanthi or giving the message of Lord. So it's all because of the Lords. It's the mercy of the previous acharyas and gurus. So it is not any credit to us, right? So where is the question of being proud of this? And then we see that even as practicing devotees, we we are subjected to so many temptations and allurement by the society. We are constantly being bombarded by material attractions, right? In the form of new gadgets or new things, new cars. We are always, so we have to somehow avoid these, right? And focus our mind on our practice. Even there is pressure to earn more money and be more successful materially. And we know that if we do that, we will not have time for our sadhana, right? So, what is the solution for that? We just need to look at people in the history who have had great material success or who have had great enjoyment, right, with opposite sex, and we have to see how their life ended ultimately, right, and learn from that, right. So for example, we all know that Ravan, he had a Lanka which was made of gold, right. He was the king of the three worlds, right. He was very powerful. He had violated so many women that he was cursed, that if he touched a woman against her wish, he'll die. That is why he never dared do that with Sita Mata. He waited for her to agree, right? And then ultimately his greed and lust led to his death, right? Then there is a story of in Srimad Bhagavatam we will read about it, of Maharaj Yayati, who uh, who was not satisfied with uh, you know opposite sex, even after spending so many years, that uh, at his old age he asked his sons, who can give me their youth, right? And his older sons declined, and ultimately his youngest son agreed to do that. So then he used his son's youth to again enjoy for so many years. But then at the end of it, he was never satisfied. And he was very repentant for doing that to his son. So we can see by these countless examples that even if one were to get all the wealth and all the enjoyments of the three worlds, he is not going to be satisfied. So we need to ask ourselves, do I still want to try it, right? When we have so many examples in the world that we see who have not been satisfied. But on the other hand, if we take examples of great sages or rishis or renounced people who have given up these worldly pleasures, we can see that they are absolutely satisfied and happy. Even grahastas who live in a content and dharmic way are happier than so-called rich people who are always miserable and fearful, right? The biggest fear rich people have is that somebody will take away their wealth. Shankaracharya said that the rich person is more scared of his own son, because outsiders he can manage, but he thinks, oh, my own son, what to do? He can, what if he takes away my wealth, right? So we can see that they are always miserable and fearful. But on the other hand, if you see devotees, they have no other care in the world but to take care of their Lord and engage in bhakti process. So that is the reason for their happiness and contentment, right? And lastly, I want to mention a point from Nectar of Devotion, that one who is too attached, right, or one who is too detached, they both have problem in Krishna consciousness, right? So we cannot be too attached, of course, for the reasons I mentioned, and we cannot also artificially show a lot of detachment, because that makes the heart very hard. So ultimately, what is important is to direct our uh, lust, our greed, to develop a loving relationship with Krishna. We cannot say that I'll not have any lust, any greed. All these we can just direct to serve Krishna. We can have the greed to uh, become a better bhakta. We can have a lust to satisfy Krishna in more and more ways. And then all the scriptural knowledge will be